In this lesson, we'll be getting an introduction to Adobe Illustrator. I've got the program open already. You can see some of the basic palettes here: our tool palette, our character palette, our line palette with the transform and the pathfinder as well, our stroke palette, our layers palette, and our color and swatches palettes. I'm going to start a new file right now. I'll go to File, New, and I'll choose letter size, and I'll keep it at CMYK since we're working in desktop publishing, and I'll just title this lesson underscore intro, orientation up and down, and click OK. Now right off the bat you can see that it's fit my page to fit the screen here at 68%. If I go to the View pull down menu, I can always see it as actual size, which is Command 1, or go back to Fit in Window. I can also zoom in and out by hitting my Apple plus to zoom in and my Apple minus to zoom out. Some of the basic tools in Illustrator are your selection tools, which are these top four. The two that you'll most often use are the selection tool and the direct selection tool. Directly below these are some of the drawing tools. Probably the most potent tool in Illustrator is the pen tool. Then we have the type tool, which generates text, a line tool, and a rectangle tool. And if you click down, if you see these tools have a little black arrow at the bottom, click down and hold, and you can see how I can generate different shapes such as circles, polygons, a star shape, rounded cornered boxes, etc. Below we have the pencil tool, the brush tool, and then some directional tools: the rotate tool, the scale tool. I'm going to skip these and go straight down here to the eyedropper tool, which is for sampling colors. And you can also see that we have the scissor tool, the zoom tool if you want to do it manually, and the hand tool for moving the page around. I'm going back to my selection tool. The shortcut for the hand tool is the space bar. Hold it down, then click and drag around the screen. Now that we've got the basic setup, let's start to draw an image. Let's just start with a simple rectangle. Before we do that, let's set some colors for it. You'll notice in the tool palette there are two color chips: the fill, and this one, which looks like an outline, is called the stroke. All Illustrator elements have a fill and a stroke, even though you may have one designated as none. And you notice here when I click on it, it brings that one to the foreground. Once it's in the foreground, I can either go to my swatches or my color palette and choose a color. I can also double click on the swatch and choose a color in my color picker, then click OK. And that's the same for the stroke. So if I click on the stroke, bring it to the foreground, I can double click it, give it a color. Now that I've got a fill color and a stroke color, I will go to my rectangle tool and draw a box on my page. Simply click and drag. If I want to draw a perfect box, I must click and drag with the Shift key down, and that will give me an equal-sided box. Now you can see here, you can barely see it, but you can see, I'll go to my selection tool, select that first box. There was an outline, but it was very thin. So if I go to my stroke palette, I can click on the weight button and increase the thickness of that outline, which is called the stroke. I can pull down on the menu and choose a number. I can also type in the dialog box. I'm going to delete this other box by clicking on it and hitting my delete key. Again, I'll select that first box. I can move it around with my selection tool by clicking inside or on the line. You'll notice that there are these little boxes called handles on all sides and all corners. They can be used for resizing your object. Again, if I resize with my shift key, it will constrain the proportion. If I resize with the option key down, it will actually resize from the center out. And you can see here, if I also hold my shift key, it will not only resize from the center out, but will constrain the proportions as well. Now let's go to our direct select tool. It's the white arrow. Let me click on it now. In order to select an object, you click on it. In order to deselect it, click in an empty area like this. And if I want to select just the corner anchor point, with the direct select tool I can drag across it, and you notice that that point is dark, the other points are still white. The dark point I can then grab and move around and give this item a new shape by dragging that point around. Again, the direct select tool will allow me to do this. The normal selection tool will not. It will only allow me to move my object. So you can see here that you can go in at any time and manipulate the size and dimensions of your object. I'll go back to my select tool, click on it, move it out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is choose the pen tool. The pen tool again is for drawing. It has two basic functions, drawing straight lines and drawing curved lines. Straight lines you do by simply clicking and clicking again for the next corner. When you want to finish your shape, move the pen tool cursor over your original point and wait for the cursor to have that little circle appear, which means you will close off the shape, then you can click it. Now this is how you draw straight lines. Let me get my selection tool. I'll actually shrink it and move it out of the way. I'll draw a new shape with my pen tool, but this time I will draw curved lines. The way you draw a curved line with the pen tool is you click, hold your mouse down and drag, and it creates these little handles which dictate the nature of the curve. It takes a bit of practice to get used to this, but basically you drag, click and drag in the direction that you're drawing into. And again, when I'm finished, I want to close my shape, move my cursor over top that first point, and I will also click and drag when I finish this. So clicking and dragging. Now I can go in with my direct select tool now, select any one of these anchor points, move them around, and you'll notice the handles, which are like a teeter-totter, can be moved around and they can be brought in close to the anchor point, which lessens the severity of the curve, or dragged away, which increases the severity of the curve. And by moving them up and down, I also change the angle of the curve. So with a bit of practice, you will get used to how to perfectly draw curves using the pen tool. Again, I'll go to my selection tool. I'll resize this, move it out of the way. I'll decrease the stroke. I'll set it to 10 points. And now I'll draw one more shape using a combination of straight lines and curves. Now to draw a straight line perfectly horizontal or vertical, I simply hold down my shift key. Now I want to draw a curve that has a sharp corner here, so I can click on this anchor point and drag out a handle, and then click and drag, click and drag, click and drag to make a nice curve. And let's say I want to start a corner here again. I can simply click on this anchor point and it kills the second part of that handle. Then with my shift key down I can draw perfectly vertical and horizontal lines. Then click and drag to create a curved line once again. Now let's say I want to go in to a corner point and turn it into a smooth point, which means make it a curved edge. Go to my pen tool, drag out, choose the Convert Anchor Point tool, which looks like an upside down V. Then go to those anchor points, click and drag. Now if you're clicking the wrong way, you'll get this kind of twisted knot, so make sure that you click and pull in the proper direction. If you're not going in the right direction, just do a 180 and pull on it. I'll pull a little bit and see what it did. It turned that corner into a smooth point. I'll do it again up here. Click, drag. Now let's say I want to turn a smooth point into a corner. I simply click on it. Go back to my Direct Select tool, pull that point out. You can see there that it is actually a corner point. I'll go back to my Convert Anchor Point tool. I'll also make this a corner point. So they become straight lines all of a sudden between two corner points. Now I'll go back. Let's say I want to add a point. Go to my pen tool and choose the pen with the plus sign. And I can simply click anywhere on the line to add points. Same thing for subtracting. Go to the pen tool with the minus symbol on it. Go to those anchor points, click on them, and they will subtract. I like to go back to my original pen tool when I'm done working on any of that stuff. Now I'll go to my selection tool and move this. If I want to change the fill color, highlight the fill chip. Again, I can go to my swatches or stay on my color palette. If I go to my swatches, I'll pick an orange, and you see how it filled that with orange. I'll go to my outline, bring that to the foreground. Again, go to my swatches, I'll pick the dark red, and there we go. Orange fill, red outline. Now if I want to sample that color into this box, it should also sample the weight of the stroke. Click on the sample tool, the eyedropper. With the box highlighted that I want to send the color to, I will sample this item. And you notice that it took on the colors and the weight of the stroke. You can also rotate when on the selection tool. If you move around the corner, you'll notice the cursor changes to the rotate symbol. The last thing I'm going to show you here is how to create a gradient as a fill. I'll do it in this selected box. Go directly below your color chips in your tool palette. There's a little box in the middle, choose it. It's called the gradient. And you'll notice by default the gradient changes from black to white. Now if we want to change these colors, notice where your stroke palette was, there was also a gradient palette. You must set your colors chip on, then go back to your gradient palette. Click on the first gradient slider, which looks like a little house shape. And you'll notice under your colors that you've just got black and white. You actually have to change the palette for each one of these color sliders. And you do that by going up to this little circle with an arrow in it. And since we're working in CMYK, we'll use the CMYK palette. And I'll simply use my eyedropper to pick a color. I'll pick orange. Go back to the other gradient slider in my gradient tab. Then I must go up to my color picker, change the color palette to CMYK, and let's see, we'll go from orange to a yellow. And that's how you change the colors in your gradient. I can change the bias of the gradient by sliding this diamond. I can also add a color by clicking in the bottom here, which adds a new slider. Now that I've clicked on it, I'll choose the color blue. And you notice here now I have 3 colors in my gradient. Again, I can change the bias by dragging these diamonds. If I want to delete that, I simply drag it away. And that's how you create a gradient fill in Adobe Illustrator. So just to review, selection tool for moving and doing resizes and rotations, direct select tool for reshaping and remanipulating anchor points. You'll also notice actually with the direct select tool, if I move over the line, the little box appears which tells me I can select the line. Now you can also grab the line itself and stretch it like an elastic, or grab an anchor point and move it. The next thing is we learned how to use the pen tool, and let's just quickly use the type tool. I'll click on it, I'll just type in a word, click on my selection tool, direct select tool. I can resize that word by going to my character palette and choosing a new size, and I can also resize it using the handles. And again, I can color it with the color chip. Pick a new color. There we go. Now the other thing in Illustrator is that things actually stack, and they stack in the order that you drew them. If I've got word sitting on top of here because I drew it last, but if I want to move it in behind with it highlighted, I can go Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and you notice how now it's behind this box. I can grab it again, Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. And that's how you change the stacking order of items in Adobe Illustrator. Now you can also resize manually. Select the tool, then go to your resize. You can see how that resizes. You can pretty well do all of this though on your direct select tool anyway. So again, we've learned two of the selection tools, the main two, direct select and selection, pen tool, text tool, rectangular box tool, and also we can draw circles, rotation tool, scale tool, eyedropper. And again, to move your page around, spacebar, click and drag. To zoom, Apple key plus to zoom in, Apple key minus to zoom out. And these are the basics of Adobe Illustrator.